What's up YouTube, Capital G here, giving you guys a quick introduction and or guide to a brand new trading card game that I just recently learned about, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been actually having a whole lot of fun with over the past couple of weeks. This is the Domain trading card game, and it has been built completely from the ground up. It's not based on any older entity like a comic book franchise or a manga or an anime, and it's actually kind of fascinating. In this video, I'm gonna give you guys some tips, some tricks. I'm going to show you guys how to sign up for Domain. We're going to run through the tutorial, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the game and why I think it has been so interesting. And I'd actually like to give a big shout out to the team at Domain, especially the development staff. I was actually on a Skype call with one of the developers, Robert, for about an hour and a half, and it was a really good and just really interesting time that I had talking to him about the game, learning about the mechanics. And I like it because you can actually give the development team feedback like instantly, and they all kind of like take it to heart, because a lot of those guys are actually like they're TCG players. They've played games like Yu-Gi-Oh, Hearthstone, Pokemon, the Old World, Warcraft, Magic the Gathering, etc, etc. And I'm going to show you guys how to sign up and do everything with Domain. We'll run through the tutorial and all that good stuff, and just so anyone doesn't have any type of questions or anything or start any rumors, no guys, I'm not quitting Yu-Gi-Oh. This is just a game that I've been having a lot of fun with on the side, much like Devil May Cry or League of Legends or something like that. So what exactly is Domain? Domain is a brand new trading card game that is free to play, which is something that I absolutely love, because it means that you can get on here, you can play hours upon hours upon hours with your friends, your family, your teammates, your neighbors. You can play against other strangers so that you play against strategies that you might not be familiar with. Hell, you can even get on here and try to create your own meta, and you can do so without spending a single penny when you sign up, which is incredibly easy. The sign up process, all it does require you to do is just sign up with your email, wait a couple of minutes to get an email from the Domain people, click a link, and boom, they're just trying to make sure that you are an actual human being. Once you sign up, you get access to one of the 3 starter decks. You can either get the Beyond, the Flame, or the Bog. It's really cool because a lot of times when you first start playing a trading card game, you really don't know what the best deck is, or you don't know what all the best cards are. You're still trying to get a grasp of everything, and they have 3 pre-made decks that you can select with, or that you can select from, and you get access to all the cards. And it's kind of made where it's like, all right, I already know that these cards are going to have synergy and that they're going to work together, so it's very intuitive. In addition to getting one of these starter decks, you're also going to get 10 full booster packs. That is awesome. Now the cool thing is the deck structure is basically up to you. You can use all the cards from the starter deck, or you can use all the cards from the booster packs. You don't have to have any specific order. As long as you have 20 to 40 cards, you're perfectly fine. You can slam all the cards together into like one mega deck, or you can choose not to use any of the cards in the starter deck if you get better ones from the booster pack. And again, all of those cards are actually 100% free, so it's kind of nice that you don't have to make any type of monetary investment for you to get on here and basically start kicking some butt. Now when it comes to the actual gameplay and what the game is actually like, and don't worry, we're going to go through the tutorial to just flesh things out a little bit and make it a little easier to understand. The game has elements of like Hearthstone and a lot of the other trading card games you see right here: Yu-Gi-Oh, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering. As I said before, the developers are all guys who played those trading card games, but it's very unique in the sense that kind of reminds me of Duelist of the Roses. If you guys have ever played Duelist of the Roses for the PlayStation 2, it was basically Yu-Gi-Oh, but very similar to like Dungeon Dice Monsters, where you were playing with Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, but you were also kind of playing on a giant game board where your monsters could kind of move around, and positioning on the board actually kind of mattered. Not exactly like the standard board that we use in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, or the standard field. This game is very similar to that. And what's nice is this game, Domain, actually has like terrain, so they took it a step further, where different terrains give monsters different bonuses, and then there are ways of like countering terrain, and placement on the board actually matters, because you don't want to lock any of your lock any of your pieces into one exact position where they may be susceptible to like counter attacks and flanks and stuff like that. And there's just a whole bunch of different mechanics. Now when speaking with the developer Robert, he did tell me that Domain, since it is in the development stage, is only going to be available available on browsers. However, there are already plans in the future to bring this baby to mobile devices. So if you like to get your game on your phone, if you like to play on your Android or your Apple device or whatever, there's going to be that in the future. So don't even worry about that. You guys will be able to play on the go in the future. Also, since this game is in the development stage, this is kind of your opportunity to get in on the ground level, to understand everything and to see kind of the whole beginnings of a trading card game, which I actually think is like super fascinating. And when the meta develops and when more people start playing, you're already going to kind of be ahead of the curve. Another thing is, since they're in the development stage, they're looking for active feedback. These guys are listening to the community basically all the time. You can just post your comments, your concerns, your questions on the forum, and the developers will actually answer them. If there's like a combo that's like way too powerful, you're like, oh my goodness, dude, I broke your game. I figured out this combo that allows me to win within 2 turns. My opponent can't do anything. You can post that and they can instantly address it. So I love the fact that these guys are like actively taking feedback from their community and from their player base, which is something that it shows that they kind of are really like, it shows they're really passionate about their game. They're definitely trying to make it as good as possible. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. So you can see right here, this is what the domain board actually looks like. These are all different terrains on the field, and the board itself is actually it's random. So there isn't going to be any deck where you're like, man, every time I face that deck, it always has this huge advantage anytime we go. Every time that you guys load into one of these games, the board is going to be completely different. So it does actually make things so, or it kind of makes the battles like never quite the same, and you never know what to kind of expect. The player who goes first is randomly chosen, just like in other card games, so you don't have to worry about, oh man, I always end up going second and my opponent always has like an advantage or something like that. The point of this game is to take out your opponent's king, any single monster in the entire game, and there are right now over 100 cards in this game. Any of them can actually be the king, which is kind of crazy. Just imagine if any Yu-Gi-Oh card you could say is arbitrarily your most important. Now, each player starts out with a deck, as I said earlier, of 20 to 40 cards. And you know, there's kind of that whole axiom about if you run a low amount of cards, then you might be missing out on some powerful and some awesome utility cards. However, if you make your deck have more, you go on, you know, towards like the high 30s, then you might actually run the risk of potentially dead drawing, and you know, you might actually reduce the consistency of your deck. Domain lets you draw 1 card every single turn. Let's go ahead and escape and move a little bit further. The movements are based on your actual card. It shows you when you clicked on the monster, it shows you where it can actually like move, and it shows you the zones that it can go to. This is my Taurus Dragon. You can see that its layout is very similar to other card games. You can see that its HP is right here, 35. When your HP goes to 0, your monster is dead. And then you can also see like its attack stats, and you can see its typing right here is demon. It also has the borders and stuff like that. So we're gonna move our guy right here to the middle, and that is that's just moving a card. Now we're gonna play a card from our hand. We're gonna play this skull guy, and let's just put him right here under this guy. So you can see that it says, note, you can only move a card immediately after it's played. So once you play a card from your hand, and you can only play 1 monster from your hand, so there aren't any crazy OTKs or any type of crazy FTKs where like in Yu-Gi-Oh you can just summon like 50 monsters in a turn. You get to play 1 card at a time, and I feel like that actually does make the game, it makes it more strategic. You know, you're never going to get completely blown out even if you don't open up exactly how you want. I think that games, Robert told me, games generally last about 10 to 12 minutes. So these are not games where players are going to be stalling or things are going to be, you know, dragging out or stuff like that. This is actually my king right here, my Taurus Dragon. Your kings are actually highlighted in yellow. So you can always tell which monster on the field is your opponent's king, and you can always easily figure out where your king is. I think I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to see if I can mess this guy up right here. So we're going to attack him once. You can see that he only has 6 HP left, and let's see if my Taurus Dragon, my king, can actually take him out. Yes, we took him out. And when you take a monster out, very similar Two strategy games, if you guys are familiar with like Advanced Wars or other strategy games, usually when you kill a monster or you kill an opponent's unit, you end up kind of taking their space. So that's exactly what happens in this game. It says that many of the cards in this game have abilities or, you know, different type of effects. This guy right here, the Man Eater, he doesn't actually have to get in front. He's not like a direct attack unit. He doesn't directly have to get in front of the fire demon to attack it. So we're just going to activate his ability and we're going to pop a cap in this guy right here. He ends up taking a bunch of damage and I am kind of safe because I can attack him from a distance. He's basically like kind of an artillery unit, if you will. Now when you do activate monsters' abilities excuse me, they can no longer move for that turn. So I can't take this guy and be like, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna run away. Nope, once you activate that ability, you are actually locked in. So you gotta position your monsters that may have abilities. Like if you want to activate an ability to, you know, shoot your opponent or to heal your units, you gotta make sure that they're placed tactically, otherwise your opponent could obviously like counterattack you. You see right here that there are trigger effects. Yes, I told you that these guys play other card games, so there's trigger effects, there's continuous effects, there are just lots of different things that are familiar to other card games right here. This one, this Soul Collector, I believe, is actually going to give me mana when I actually attack one of its monsters and like destroys them. So let's put our king. Let's go ahead and attack, and let's see if we can go ahead and try to get that. Oh no, here's what happened. We actually ended up getting 3 mana. So mana is how you play cards. So we'll summon this guy. This guy has a cost of 3. So usually a lot of the high power monsters have mana cost, and while you don't start with any mana if you're going first, again, you start with 1 point if you're going second. There are so many different ways to generate mana. You never quite feel like, oh man, I don't have any mana, I can't do anything. Plus you can obviously fill your deck up with a bunch of different cards or different monsters that don't require mana. When you start a battle, your king is already on the board and your king requires no mana to put on the board. So let's go ahead, and since we now have 3 mana, I think that's what the game was just saying. The game was just saying, hey, you've got some mana, let's just go ahead. And generally you want to summon like next to your king. I think that that's always kind of beneficial because you want to keep your king protected. If your king dies, then you instantly lose the game. So you got to make sure. This is talking about terrain and how terrain impacts battles. It's saying that we want to go ahead and attack, right? So we're going to attack the fire demon with the skeleton. Just going to go ahead and hit him up. Now he is going to take reduced damage, or excuse me, he's going to take additional damage because we're actually on terrain, and we're going to get HP back if we're on this specific terrain. So terrain doesn't just have like status effects, or excuse me, it doesn't just have like attack bonuses and stuff like that. You can actually just sit on terrain and you can get different bonuses. For instance, your HP might slowly recover over time, or your monster might actually start gaining, or your monster might actually start like creating mana and stuff like that. Here's a prime example of a continuous effect. You guys will see right here, I have this garden card on the field. Not the most powerful card, only has 7 HP. However, it's one of those cards that gives you a resource every single turn. After I end my turn, I'm going to gain a point of mana. You guys can see right here, I have 1 point of mana. In my turn to let my opponent go, boom, I generate a point of mana. So this is like kind of one of those setup cards. You put it on the field, you try to keep it protected, and it just generates resources for you to summon other powerful monsters. And I think having cards like that are actually pretty damn awesome because not everything needs to be super powerful. That's the end of the tutorial. The game is like super easy to play. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can just go to the forum. You can get help from the developers. I'm actually going to show you guys some of like the artwork of the cards. I luckily have development access. They gave me access to show you guys all the cards and, you know, some of the different artworks. It's awesome because every single card in this entire game was created and hand drawn by the developers themselves. You guys can see like the artworks on here are magnificent. Don't have to worry about any censorship either, which is just really badass. Like, look at this. This is an awesome looking card. It's an illusionist, and again, it says right here, King Me, you can make any single monster in the entire game your king, which I just think is phenomenal, man. You can make the weakest card your king to just troll your opponent or to completely throw them off, or you can make a card that's not very powerful that has a bunch of like, you know, movement so it can kind of run around the board and your opponent can never get close to it. You can make your king kind of like a big behemoth monster, a monster that can't really move that much but has a lot of attacking power. There are also other ways to like gain movement movement speeds and stuff like that. And I think that this game is definitely pretty awesome. So I want you guys to go to enterthedomains.com, sign up, and mess around on here. See what you guys can do and see if you guys like the game or not. Anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. Again, thanks to the awesome people at Domain for sponsoring this video. Subscribe if you guys have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.